Hey guys, welcome to ManicGamer. I'm Jim Catherine here and showing off our awesome new IronMan build today. So we are launching our new channel as well as where we're going to be posting new ideas and builds as we go along with them. But here today I have the IronMan build. What's really cool and unique about this build is we have the Cougar Conquer case, which has been completely stripped and re-anodized in our custom anodizing. We went with a red and gold color to match the IronMan suit. Then for the motherboard, we're using the AORUS Gaming 7, which is running the AMD 1920X. Tons of cores. This thing just kills on benchmarks. For the GPU, I'm using the Zotac GTX 1080 8GB liquid cool card. This also is fully customizable with its RGB as well. And then it's a custom hardline tubing, all in 16mm, and I'm running the Thermaltake RGB LED fittings on all of those tubes to keep them nice and lit up. We're running the Raystorm Neo Waterblock, the newest one from Raystorm, and I gotta say, it looks beautiful. I was a little trepidatious over it because of the photos online, but once you get it in, I went with the nickel chrome, and it is just spot on. It is amazing. Beautiful looking water block. We're running a total of 32 gigs of RAM and 4 DIMM sticks of the Corsair 3000 megahertz RGB LED RAM, and it's set up with its own red rotating color mode. Then inside of the water block, we're running a blue LED, and all of the water fittings are actually white LED lit up, and we're running a blue fluid through it, which is the Thermaltake fluid. Then here on the bottom, which is really fun, we've got the new Toughpower DPS G RGB 750 watt power supply, which has the light up fan in it, and that fan gives you a nice underglow to the entire case. Up top, we're using the new Thermaltake fans. These are all run through a USB header on the motherboard, and these are programmable through the computer. Then up front here is a custom hand-built arc reactor that I actually built myself. I drilled through the case, opened it up, and mounted the arc reactor inside of it. Then we're also running another RGB LED fan from Thermaltake here on the front. This is the same exact fans as the back. But what's really cool and unique is the water cooling loop here. So what I did is, off of the hard drive mount, I've mounted our water cooling reservoir. That is pumping out here, down this line, across and into the GTX 1080 card from Zotac. Then that's coming out of there, comes down and into a radiator here in the front. And so this is a Thermaltake 180 radiator, but it's ultra thick, so you get a much better cooling performance. I notice you typically get a cooling performance of almost double that of the thin radiators. Then from there we come out from the bottom, and if you want to come walk in closer, so from the bottom then we come out of there, and this is all hand bent tubing. It comes out behind the reservoir, takes a double 90 degree and into the CPU. Then from there, it comes out of the CPU block and into a 360 radiator. Then that comes out of that radiator and into the reservoir. So I separated the CPU and the GPU into one single water loop, but two separate radiators. So that way I'm not pumping hot liquid out of the GPU and into the CPU. I want to see max performance out of that CPU. So by separating those two between two radiators and still using a single pump, it all fit together and it just looks beautiful. Then here we have the cable, Thermaltake cable extenders. I'm using the yellow and red, black extenders for the motherboard, the GPU, and for the CPU cables. Those are terminated into the back and underneath here, next to the power supply. And everything comes into a single bundle on the rear. And there is a ton of cables. Actually, you can see here this gap, which is an inch gap between the glass and the main chassis on the rear. That inch gap is completely full of cables. As far as performance goes, I'm running dual 1 terabyte SSDs, and those are from Samsung 980 Pros. Both of those are set up in RAID 0. So we're actually seeing upwards of 950 megabits per second read-write. Average write is 850, but I've seen up to 950 on that. And average read is 960, right around 950, 960 megabits per second. So that's just amazing. It really is, performance-wise. Cinebench results, I've actually got those here. So by overclocking the RAM to its 3000 megahertz, we set the core clocks at all default on the AMD Threadripper there, the 1920X, and we're running standard clock with the Zotac Firestorm configurator. It works beautifully, we love it. But here on Cinebench, and I'll post some more photos, our first CPU tests on that were in the right around 2300 range. Is what we're seeing on Cinebench, and here I'm going to run it live while we're talking. And it really cranks on this thing. Very quiet system. It does kick up a little bit on the fans as it gets going under full load. But even then, our air conditioner is louder than the system is. So you got to love that. And so here we just posted 2267 again. So we're right in that range. We're definitely, with a 12-core CPU, we are destroying the Intel Xeon CPUs that are 12-core, 24-thread. So this Threadripper is aptly named Threadripper. Does a very good job. When we're running 4K, everything works beautifully. When we're running 1080p high, though, system tends to lag a little bit on 1080p high. We're seeing as low as 40 frames per second. But as soon as we bump it up into 4K or 8K, we're seeing average frame rate of 58 to 75. Average frame rate on that. And I took photos of those, and I'll post photos of those as well in the video here. Right here. But hope you guys really enjoy this build. There will be tons of photos, and we are working on a website. So we're also working on the logo. Maybe you guys have a good idea for our logo. I've been kind of thinking of Street Fighter-ish lately, but we'll see how it goes. Till next time.
But... Ooh! Yeah!